this is kind of the end of the road for a long process that used to be called Build Back Better, and this is where we ended up. How did we get here, and what's left?
But there are a couple of things that'll be interesting to people who listen to the radio. First is, and this is one of the headline grabbers, is the Medicare prescription drug price reform. For the very first time in history, government will be able to negotiate prices on up to 10 of the most high expenditure prescription drugs in Medicare. Okay, so the government is finally negotiating directly with big pharma on the price of certain prescription drugs. Now, the good thing about that is it's going to save money. It's going to slow the rate of growth in Medicare. I know there's a lot of concern, a lot of froth and misinformation out there about this is going to cut benefits for Medicare beneficiaries. That's not what this does. Okay, this saves them. It saves the Medicare program money because it won't be spending as much on the same prescription drugs that people get today. Okay, so this won't affect Medicare beneficiaries at all, except for perhaps to make their prescription drugs less expensive. Now, the bad news is that this program doesn't start until 2026. The federal government, HHS in particular, is going to take some time to figure out how to structure this program and write the regulations. So if they're looking for benefits right away, it's not going to happen. So that's one of the big developments. The second big development is the record investments in clean energy and clean energy tax credits. There's basically this big, huge effort in this legislation. This is actually one of the components of the bill that actually survived from the original House passed version, virtually unscathed, unchanged. So everybody was talking about how Senator Manchin was anti-climate crisis, didn't want to do anything to help about the climate crisis. That just put this all to rest because he basically endorsed what was in the original House version. And it spends about $370 billion on clean energy investments, things that encourage the deployment of climate-friendly technologies, clean energy manufacturing and generation, clean fuels, clean cars, enhanced carbon sequestration credits, money to help everything become more energy efficient, money to spend on conservation. So just a record investment in clean energy and a really substantial down payment on combating the climate crisis. So those are sort of the two big things. There are a couple of smaller things that I wanted to mention that'll be interesting to people. Number one, it extends for 3 years the expanded premium tax credits that are available under the Affordable Care Act. So if you get your health insurance through the health exchange in your state, and you receive premium tax credits from the federal government, that help you get, that financial help that you get in purchasing those health insurance policies, that help is extended for another 3 years. The other thing that's interesting is that this reconciliation bill is actually paid for. In shock of all shocks, we've seen reconciliation so many times in the past that has been used to increase the deficit rather than reduce the deficit. This bill actually reduces the deficit because it includes a whole bunch of pay-fors. The top line is there is now a new 15% alternative minimum tax on large corporations that'll take effect in January of next year. That's going to raise somewhere in the ballpark of $300 billion over 10 years. There's also a 1% excise tax on stock buybacks by publicly traded corporations. That goes into effect next year. And then the Democrats also decided to invest in the IRS. If you've been paying attention at all, under the Republican control of the House and Senate and the White House, they've really decimated the IRS and its ability to enforce our current tax laws. And so Democrats have made a down payment in trying to rewrite that ship. And they're going to spend about $80 billion over the next 10 years trying to get the IRS back to where it was before we just started gutting the IRS. And in doing so, it's going to help the IRS collect the revenue that is owed to the federal government under current law. And that's expected. They're going to spend about $80 billion, but it's expected to generate about $200 billion in revenues over 10 years. So it's about a net saver of about $120 billion. So, and one way to look at this too is, hey, if you had to wait a really long time to get your refund, your income tax refund from the IRS, this investment is going to help you get your money back quicker, because they're going to have more agents available to process and more processors to process these returns faster and get your money back to you.